The year was 1993. I remember sitting in my living room, flipping through channels, and an episode of a television show called Food Fight aired, and I fell in love with it. That show was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and for many years of my childhood, I was hooked. Welcome to the Torgo Network. I'm Torgo. You may know me from Torgo Entertainment. I'm going to start doing top 10s on this channel, and we start off with the top 10 Megazords or top 10 Super Sentai Mecha. Now, I made this list Super Sentai Mecha because I wanted to expand upon what would be eligible for this list. I wanted to show that there's some designs out there that are really neat that we have not gotten here in the States. But I do want to lay down a couple ground rules. Number one, only one entry per season. If there's a season out there that shows a great design choice, I don't want to harp on that and show some bias by having it clog up the entire top parts of lists, which is more of an issue with the worst lists, which you'll see a little later down the line. Number two, for this list, when I say favorite Super Sentai Mecha, I'm talking Gatai only. If you don't know what Gatai means, it roughly translates to combining. So we have to have multiple parts combine into one. Something that just stands up or becomes a warrior mode, like the White Tiger Zord, for example, that wouldn't count for this list. So multiple parts and only one entry per series. I hope you're ready. Let's check out my top 10. And by the way, I'm not going to actually script anything because this is based on purely aesthetic opinion, so overwriting a script may not be the best choice for this, so we're just going to go off the cuff. Here's what I think.
We start off the top 10 with the most recent mecha on here by far. This comes from Q Ranger. Now, Q Reno started off strong, but I like Ryuteo quite a bit more. The color palette looks great with the purple, the sky blue, and the orange. Now, we've seen a dragon transform like this before in Die Ranger, but Ryuteo really brings it up to a new level with the color palette. I only have it at number 10 because the dragon head is a little large for my liking, and I don't like how it doesn't have actual hands, especially on Scorpion's side. But I love the finisher, and everything from Q Ranger just kind of went downhill from here, especially the combinations. When you got more than 5 of them in there, you know, it didn't look so great. And now we move to Geki Ranger. Geki Toja was fine. I didn't like how the main mecha got repurposed into Violet's mecha, but Geki Fire looked great right out the gate. I even love its little bicycle helmet that it has, and it has the penguin riding a surfboard. Geki Toja was all about athleticism, and Geki Ranger was all about movement in its mecha designs. You had the horizontal movement of Geki Toja, the vertical spinning like you see here of Geki Fire, and the diagonal motion when Saidaio transformed, but I think Geki Fire pulled it off the best. It looked strong, it looked powerful, and while it only consisted of 3 and red is a little dominant compared to the other 2, I still think it pulls off the look very well. Now, this looks like movie footage, because it is movie footage. I realize that it's a little sacrilegious to have a Sentai Mechs list and have this from the Americanized movie, but the models are close enough, and I like the widescreen a little bit more, so you'll have to forgive me. This is obviously from Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, because number 8 spot belongs to RV Robo, and this is only on the list because of the toy. I had Power Rangers toys for the first 5 seasons of the franchise. Turbo was the last season where I actually had the toys, and I only really had the Zords. And the Turbo Megazord toy, for whatever reason, just had the stability to it. All the other ones felt slightly fragile, and I adored my toys dearly as a kid, but the Turbo Megazord toy just felt like a brick in all the right ways. You could do some damage with the Turbo Megazord. You could club someone over the head and it would hurt them and not the toy. But I thought all the parts looked really good, all the toys rolled really well, but I love the design of it. The head sculpt is nice. I just think it incorporates the vehicles extremely well. Yes, it does have a minivan for its right leg, but the finisher looked really cool too. That costume gabbing left a lot to be desired. The finisher was nice. It's goofy because it comes from Car Ranger, the parody series. But RV Robo, the whole background is dark. It just has this striking contrast to it, and the spin out, we had never seen anything like this. This is by far the fastest moving finisher we had in Power Rangers, let alone in Super Sentai at that point. But I love that. The pose, oh, great. And now we move to some more CGI, and by the way, no more widescreen for the rest of this video. Now obviously we've had a ton of dinosaur-themed Zords and Mecha, but I think Killer pulled it off the best. The color palette looks great. You have that dark magenta with the white. It looks evil without being over the top. It has this growth where it gets bad posture and gets some claws, and it's just ready to wreck things to pieces. Only have it at number 7 because the wings make up the legs, and the legs are a little bit scrawny. But I do love the design of this thing, and I think it pulls it off really well. It does a Kamehameha. I mean, what more do you want? I haven't seen Alba Ranger, but Killer looks great. The Dino Stegazord, as it was called in the US. And I think this was the best thing Alba Ranger had in terms of its designs. Nice contrast to the asymmetry of Thundersaurus. Oh, we're going old school for this one. Now, I haven't seen Maskman, but I love the design of Great 5. This was the first 5-piece combiner that we got in the franchise. All the individual pieces look fine enough on their own. I mean, drill tanks are gonna look silly, no matter what. I like the way it combines. Nothing looks too ridiculous. I like the way that black folds right there. And something just seems satisfying with the way that the cockpits of yellow and pink just kind of shove themselves into the main body. The head is a little bit goofy. It looks kind of simian, if you know what I mean. But I love the way everything folds up nice and neat. Very little kibble. Great 5 looks like it can get the job done, and I love the chest on it. It just has a very nice cohesive look to the whole thing. And it does the classic, my sword glows, and we have some background effects, and now we gonna kill you. But it does cause you to bleed some LEDs. But still, Great 5, great mecha. Terrible line. But when you have the heroes become the mecha themselves, which we hadn't really seen before or since, you know you had to go over the top. Magiranger did that. Not only did we get a dragon mode, which didn't look terrible. I don't know where that neck came from. Someone had some parts split that they shouldn't have. Don't think about it too much. Remember, we're suspending disbelief. But the real reason why this is on here is because of its main form. Magi-King looks awesome. And I wasn't a huge fan of Magiranger, let alone Power Rangers Mystic Force. That was not a great season. The Titan Megazord, as we called it, but Magi-King looks great. That wingspan is just gigantic. I love the distribution of colors. I love the thematic design choices with the magician's hat and the pointy elf shoes. I love the circle sword finisher that incorporates all the insignia. Everything about this looks great, and it's nice to have green be the whole body instead of red for a change. And we move to another season I haven't seen. Gao Ranger, I've heard terrible things about. But you can tell that all of the creative energies went toward the mecha design on this. You could say that the mecha are actually the main characters. But Gao King is great. And I know Gao Icarus is the popular pick, but I don't like the feet of the Falcon that come up and form the chest. This guy, Gao Hunter, really does it for me. I realize that Alligator takes up a lot of it, but I just love the design. And you know what's good? Because they aped it in Gowanger, or RPM, with the Croc carrier. And I forget the Japanese name. But I like the heroic version, Gao Hunter Justice, a little bit more, specifically because of the head. I don't like the horn, and I like the actual face of Gao Hunter Justice quite a bit. And it's got this really sweet finisher where it just creates the moon, and this is a drill, and the wolf head's not doing very much, but just very sleek. No parts are wasted. Even right here next to Gao King. Gao King looks great. I think this looks better. Oh, another 3-piece. What's wrong with me? This entire era, the early 2000s, I felt really aced mecha design. And here from Hurricaneer, we called this the Storm Power Megazord and Power Rangers Ninja Storm. And yes, yellow dominates a lot of it, but yellow had so many blue aspects in it that it didn't look too overwhelming. Obviously an homage to Live Man, but I felt like Senpujin really pulled it off. And this is nice to see that they incorporated the gotta collect 'em all gimmick in an interesting way. It didn't affect too many of the combinations. You could just pull out the Karakuri balls, or however you pronounce it, I'm sorry. Plus it's had a lightning mode or a hurry up mode. That's just useful. And that had its own finisher. See, it had the gimmick here, and it wasn't too intrusive. Nowadays, you know, everything becomes an arm or a leg. I liked how they became weapons, and you only needed numbers 7 and 8 to form the one combination. and 15 through 17 to get the other. Plus it turned the video into widescreen. That's pretty powerful. But I really like the way this looks. This is probably the most stylish of the top 10. And it really pulled off the theme well of the three of them coming together and the ninja theme. Plus that sunset looks great. Oh no, another one from the 80s. What am I thinking? You might not even know what this is without me saying it. Do most of you know what this is? I love the design of this thing. I haven't even seen this series, but I wanted to make sure every mecha got its fair shot. And to me, when you think of transforming combiner robots from this franchise, I really think this one does it the best. It combines in a very interesting way. We had not seen anything combined like it since. And you have the two jets, and you have a tank, which of course, being a Sentai from the 80s, it's gonna fly too. Just give everything all the flight. Why not? Everything looks so clean when it combines. And check this out, it's from Flashman in case you haven't figured it out. This is Flash King, number 2. Look at this. You have the wings fold nice and neatly. Everything is so compact on this. And it looks appropriately bulky. You can tell that these are individual pieces that combine together, but everything still looks cohesive. Look at this. You have one jet makes the right arm and the right leg, and the other one the left arm and the left leg, and then the middle forms on like these casters. We have not seen anything like it since. It looks, look at this. Everything folds up nice and neat. To me, this is the quintessential Super Sentai Mech. I know it's not number 1, but this is like the gold standard. Everything should aspire to be Flash King. Nothing about it looks bad. The colors aren't the 5 of the team, but that was okay. Everything was that goldish yellow and red and blue back in this time frame. But it doesn't look terrible. It just kind of jumps up like, I have a sword now, and I now have super flight. Oh, this flipping stuff, it's just, this is what they did back then. And there are definitely some bad ones from the 80s, but I love Flash King. This is what they all should be. But it's not number 1. Sometimes nostalgia gets its way. I love Flash King, but I don't have the nostalgic value attached to it that I do with the Victory Robo, or the Lightspeed Megazord, or the Rescue Megazord. I forget what they actually called it in the States. It's been a while since I saw Lightspeed Rescue. But we always had things flying around, and you could suspend your disbelief a little bit. This actually looked plausible, and I loved that. This looks like you could actually perform this exact same sequence with the toys. And it actually had an intermediary form. You have these 3, which could form their own, walking fire truck, which sounds awesome right out the gate. Don't think about the collateral damage they're actually causing, but you can see. Look at this teamwork. This represents teamwork, the 5 of them coming together. Nothing looks dominant compared to the other 4 parts. Even the green one, which forms just the head, it fits in nicely. Look at that. So you have the water cannons, they have their own little cavity. Everything about this comes together nicely. And that's why I love it. This was good because the toy version was actually extremely small, but no one seemed to care. Victory Robo from Go-Go 5, my favorite Sentai Mecha. And look at this, it has a finisher where it just doesn't even need a weapon. It got a sword, obviously, and it could kill with that, but this just throws you with its ladder arms, and that's enough to save the day. And when you have multiple finishers like that, you're something special. And it really kept the rescue theme. So Victory Robo, my favorite Super Sentai Mecha of all time.
There you have it, my top 10. I hope you enjoyed this list. Feel free to disagree in the comments. Let me know what your favorite is. Let me know what your least favorites are. Let me know how wrong I got this list. Even though these are my opinions, you can't really change them. They're genuinely what I think. You'll see a worse list at some point. Thank you for tuning in. Again, top 10 Super Sentai Mechs, top 10 Megazords, however you want to call it. I'm Torgo of the Torgo Network, and we'll see you next time. Take care.